Okay, WrestleMania has now come and gone. We are finished. It is over. We know the results. But now here comes the interesting thing. The aftermath. Now, I'm sure there might be one or two people maybe down below who said, dude, your prediction was wrong. Cody won. And I'm saying it right now. We know Cody won. But when you look at my title, I think I might still be right. Because, as I've said before, I know I wasn't going to be completely right. And I know this wasn't going to be 100% accurate. And if it was 100% wrong, I eat crow. I was wrong about Cody not winning. I thought he wasn't going to win. But when you look at how they closed the show, you wonder, am I right? Because this still comes down to one thing because of how they closed the show. What is this show about? Is it a story? Or is it an era? Or is it both? Let's go through everything. Now, I'm going to tell the truth. Going into this build of WrestleMania, I was not interested. Half the stuff here had terrible stories. It just was not interesting. As I said, easily from Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, I'm sure the matches themselves will be good. And they were. So I want to make this clear right now, as it stands. Is WrestleMania Night 2 better than 1? Hell yes, it is. And I'm sure JD and Alex are going to be raving about it. I'm being honest here. This is WrestleMania Night 1. This is Night 2. It's obvious. But the question now is, once I tell you, was it good all around? Let's go through the first match. The World Heavyweight Championship of Seth and Drew. With CM Punk at commentary. He's talking. He's got the arm brace on. He pretty much was the main reason this story has become more interesting to many people. To me personally, I wish he had not been involved. Because I really wanted to see this after WrestleMania. Because I wanted Drew and Seth to have their own moment. But due to the fact of how badly built the story was between Drew and Seth. Because of pretty much Roman Reigns and The Rock. It made it impossible to make it just about Drew and about Seth because there was no build to it. So they had to throw in a CM Punk. It was obvious. They had to throw him in. How could you do it without him? Not because it made the story greater because CM Punk is the greatest. It's because they didn't build it right. So we get the match. It was a good match. I think it wasn't better than some of the other ones I've seen between them. I think the second match before this one was much better than this one. So I will say that for me personally. Now, I expected Drew to win. Because, to be honest, what else is for Seth to do now at this point? Particularly, we don't know how fully recovered he is from an MCL injury. He might need to have more time. So this would be a good time for him to drop the title and give it to Drew, who does deserve it. Look, WrestleMania in 2020 sucked because there was nobody there. He was home less than a few days after it was aired. I know that had to irk him. If you were in his position, you wanted fans there to make it special for himself, for his wife, for his family, and for them. And there was no one there because they couldn't, because of lockdown. So this is what he did deserve. He deserved to finally get this moment. But then, what did we get? We get him gloating in CM Punk's face, which, guess what? CM Punk was fully recovered enough to beat the crap out of a Drew McIntyre, which allowed a Damian Priest, which I knew Damian, if he didn't keep the titles last night, he was cashing in tonight, which he did. Within, 6 minutes of winning the title, he loses it, and then Damian of Judgment Day gets it. This is what we get. Now, the story that should have started on Raw has been started here. Because Drew is now going to have the feud with CM Punk. Depending on how recovered CM Punk is, even though he wasn't wearing the brace, we don't know how fully recovered he is yet. He may not be fully recovered yet. But he had to be used here because, like I said, Drew and Seth's story was almost completely non-existent because of The Rock and Roman Reigns. They had to fix the problem because The Rock wanted that match with his cousin and couldn't get it. That's why CM Punk was there, to compensate for it. It was nothing else they could do. Moving on. Match 2, the street fight. Final Testament versus The Pride. I'm going to be honest here. I didn't care. Going into the match, I knew it was going to be probably good, and it was not a bad street fight. I've seen better, I've seen worse. It was a good street fight. Were they going out of their way to be way more reckless? Yes, because it's WrestleMania, wanted to make it mean something. So they did bring it up from being like dead even to above average. I've seen way better street fights. Way dangerous street fights than that. And yes, Akam and Razor breaking those on the back. I think Razor might have hit Angelo Dawkins in the face with that one of the candlesticks and might have hurt him. But he seemed to be okay, but not too bad. But I'm going to be honest here. It was a good street fight, but I didn't care because let's make it clear. You guys may have liked it. You guys may have loved both of them fighting one another. But for me personally, in the beginning of this year, we needed to separate the two to allow them to really build themselves up properly. Here, do you actually believe Final Testament? Well, yeah, Final Testament. I was about to say Final Judgment. But when you see Final Testament, do you actually believe in them? No. I didn't. Because they never had time to really build themselves up because they went and worked with Bobby and the Street Profits, who themselves needed to build themselves up. But since they were already being built as it was when Bobby started working with them, and then even though they dropped substantially, they were still developed enough that the only option they had was to let Bobby and the Profits win with B-Fab, who basically, I think she basically did a choke slam to, I'm not going to tell you that was a great choke slam when to Scarlett. And seeing Scarlett with chunky boots, she was not dressed in ring attire, but we have B-Fab who did look like she could be dressed in ring attire. It looked mixed and matched to me personally. Because Scarlett doesn't really go much in the ring anymore. She is the manager. She is the pretty much the attaché, the whatever you want to a Karrion Kross, who basically doesn't mean anything. Because he was the one that got the damn pin. So, didn't care. Next match. LA Knight versus AJ Styles. Now, let me give it to you in this respect. This was a match very similar to Jade Cargill, but the difference between Jade with Damage Control, Naomi, and a Bianca Belair is that she is not developed. And I know someone said that she looks impressive, but she's not developed. As I've said, she's still green. Jade Cargill looks great, but she's green. She's not ready for anything yet. But as I said last night, she is being introduced to the WWE fan base. This was her heavy introduction. They want to put her over and make her heavily introduced so when she goes forward in SmackDown, they'll have more momentum going that way and more interest and more merchandise. Let's make it clear. She's going to sell merch. She is that type of woman. But they wanted to really get her over. So, you see LA Knight. He's a 22-year veteran, I believe, almost 20-year veteran. No, he's a 20-year veteran. I think about 20 years. Compared to AJ, who's been around a little bit longer. So, essentially, you got two very good wrestlers who've known each other for quite a long time in TNA, which became Impact Wrestling. They've known each other for a while, so this match was not going to be a bad match, and it wasn't. There were very few botches. You got cheers out of the ass of LA Knight. They were cheering for him very heavily. And that was good. I will say it wasn't as strong as later in the night, but it was really good. And almost forgot. I forgot. It's in my face. What the hell was that from Seth Rollins when he was going into the damn ring? accordions. You see him with accordions. It's in my face. I've forgotten. What the blue fuck was that? I've seen him do some crazy shit, but this takes the freaking cake. He really wanted to make this important, so he gets accordion players dressed in how they usually dress in New Year's Eve over in Philly. I've never seen it before. I never known they did that. I've never gone to Philadelphia, so I don't know if that's true or not. If it is, I've never seen it before, so that was new to me. And Seth played into it. And LA Knight played into what was going on in the match. He looked great. But as I said, this was his moment to really make him a lot more substantial. Kind of like introducing himself to the general public, in a sense. Even though he's been around for a while, people love him. They go, yeah, that's my boy. That's my Eli Drake, my boy. I said it before, JD. Alex, when it came to Sleg Daddy, I'm one of the few who knew. I knew from 2013 or 14, he was something. He was just missing one thing, and he's developed into that. And that was becoming a ring general, because he can become a ring general. And he has. He's earned what he got. But I do believe this was just a spotlighting of him more than just a moment. That's just me. But I'm happy it happened. Next. Here we go. The match I was interested in. How are they going to book it? How far they're going to go with it? And who was going to win it? And to be honest, I knew who was going to win. Because, let's make it clear, what I've been saying about what means the most to TKO is this. U.S. Championship. Randy, KO, and Logan Paul. I will tell you, Logan reminds me of Kurt Angle. He reminds me of him. You know why? Because Kurt was able to pick up this business very quickly. And Logan has done the same thing. He is not to the very same point as a Kurt Angle, but he's close. This is Kurt. This is Logan. Let's make it clear. He has picked this up. He's got the charisma, unlike a Kurt Angle who did not have charisma back then, because he still acted like an amateur wrestler who shows no emotion. You got Logan who does. He's got it in spades, and he's very good in the ring. It worked. Opening of the match, you got pretty much, well, let me give it to you like this. Seeing that Randy and KO comes down how can I say, seeing Randy Orton on the back of a golf cart with KO driving him, and he's getting his hand out going, whoa, not too fast. Was that stupid? Yes. Was the match bad? No. Logan's trying to make them play against each other, and at first it didn't work, but eventually broke down, and then we had the real match. In the end, we get Logan finally using brass knucks to try and knock them both out, which he did. And ISO Speed, seeing him, I've heard about him maybe once or twice, being on Twitch. I don't really watch those type of guys or girls who are on Twitch. The persons that I kind of watch, I'm not going to lie, I watch VTubers. Yes. Look, I watch anime. I watch VTubers. What do you want? I watch VTubers. I ain't going to lie about it. Look, as anyone knows, I had another channel, which I still have, that I'm trying to get back into it, doing animation. So I watch VTubers. I don't usually watch somebody like that. But I can understand why the TKO would call somebody like that. I thought it was going to be KSI. But ISO Speed. I think that's his name. Sorry. ISO Speed. I've heard of him once or twice. I have heard the name. I just have a tendency not to be very, very good when it comes to pronouncing the names. I have heard of him once, but I'm not a fan of him. Not because I think he's garbage. It's just I'm not a fan. So I understand why they went there. And he got destroyed by Randy Orton because Randy was going to win and he didn't. So Logan Paul won. And look at this image. I do believe I got it when he's in the middle of the ring looking at his logo that is printed onto the mat. It proves to you guys heavily that TKO does care more about this. They care about this because of what you just saw with Logan. Because they didn't need to give that shot with him over his head, pointing at his Prime logo on the damn mat. I don't need any more than that. Let's move on. Bayley versus Io, which was a very well developed story, which was the second one I was interested in, but I didn't know the outcome. It was obvious. The best outcome would be for Io to drop the damn title. Now the question was, how are they going to develop the match itself? They had, how can I say this? Knowing that, well, Bayley doing the Egyptian thing was something I didn't expect, and having an Egyptian mask and stuff like that. Io coming out wasn't too bad, but it was actually Bayley, Io, with their intros. That was obvious. The match itself, you see basic, very formulaic. You got the very pissed off face coming after the heel, and then getting her ass whipped for a while, and then eventually getting back eventually. I do believe there was a couple of moves that was botched when it came to Io, one botch from Bayley and one botch from Io. I can't remember. But I do know there was about 4 moonsaults from Io onto Bayley, and 2 of them missed. But I will tell you this. The match was good. Bayley won, and she needed to win, and should have won. But the question now is, what's next? Who is next? Now, mind you, it's going to be Damage Control still dealing with a Bianca Belair, Bayley, and guess who? A Naomi. Naomi will probably be interjected into it, but I do not believe that Jade Cargill is going to be the most dominant moment there. She will be added each time. That's what I believe. She'll be added once Bianca and Naomi start into it, and then she'll be added. Unless she's going to be having a feud of her own, which, to be honest, I don't think she's ready for that. I still believe they're going to do a Team Bad type of thing for a little while until she's established, which is going to work with Naomi and Bianca. That's how I feel it's going to be. With Naomi as the veteran and Bianca the second, and she'll be third. That's what I think is going to happen for a little while. That's just me. Okay. Ending of the show. Let's make this clear. We got the kitchen sink thrown at this match. Cody versus Roman. We saw Cody coming out, and I believe I got a shot of it in my face, in a bone mask that looks like his tattoo on his damn neck. And I'm going like, really? I'm like, you're going there? Yes, you got to see Brandy. Mommy had baby. Mommy had a baby. Mommy was like already like this. Now she's like, That's Brandy. Brandy has become even more developed as a woman. She ain't fat. But she was like, yes. And, yeah. Bow-legged, yeah, but it didn't matter. But now she's like, woo! And, woo! That happens with women. If you don't know, that happens with women. But when you see Roman come out in his intro, his themed intro, and they have a full orchestra for him, oof, that was one hell of an orchestra. Quite nice. Then we get the match. No Rock, no Solo, no Jimmy at first. Nothing. The majority of the match was them not having anyone there. Not until Jimmy comes out. Then Solo comes out. Well, let me crank back. Jimmy comes out, nails a Cody, and then you get Jay coming out nailing a Jimmy. They both go off the stage into some boxes or a table. Then you got Solo, who thought he nailed Cody twice. Then a third time, doing a Samoan spike a couple of times. Didn't work. Then, what did we get after that? Eventually, we get John Cena coming out to nail Solo. Then we get The Rock coming out to come and do something and was stopped by the Taker. Well, technically, he went for John Cena first. Then Taker appeared after the lights went off and on. Then he basically was chokeslammed. And then eventually we finally get Cody not giving one crossroads. He gave 6 to almost 7 crossroads to a Roman Reigns. A cumulative, about 6 to 7 of them. And he won. The one who sounded the most excited was Michael Cole. You could hear how excited he was because this meant a lot to him. He's seen Cody for many years. He started working in WWE while Cody was a teenager. Because Cody's like 36, 37 now? And no, 35. I think 35. And he's been working 27 years there. So Cody was a little kid by the time and almost a teenager when he finally started working there. So, I'm telling you, this meant a lot to a lot of people. Cody's mother came out. His stepfather came out. You got LA Knight coming out. You got CM Punk giving him a hug. You got Randy Orton giving a hug, which meant a lot. Randy meant a lot because of how long he worked with Randy in Legacy. Then he called out surprising Bruce Pritchard. And he called out Triple H, who he said, even though he'll be coming out kicking and screaming, the man for the new era that we're in is Paul Levesque Triple H. He didn't say Paul Levesque, he said Triple H. Called him out, gave him a hug, and then pretty much we had an extra 5 or 7 minutes easily where he's going around hugging people. He hugged Michael Cole, he hugged some fans, he hugged Nick Khan, he hugged the cameraman, he hugged everybody, and they went off the air. Now, this was the gist of the entire show. Was it a bad show? No. As I said, this was night 1, this is night 2. They threw the kitchen sink at this match, the final match, because, let's make it clear, we had 6 matches. 6. The first match was good with Seth and Drew. The second match was mediocre. The street fight was okay. It wasn't incredibly great, but it was good. You had the U.S. Championship, which was a good match, just like the first one. Then you got Bayley with Io, which was also a good match. And then LA Knight with AJ Styles, which was also okay. Kind of like with the street fight. It could have been put on a SmackDown or Raw, but doesn't mean it was a bad match. But you could have easily taken them out and done something else. And then you had the final match. Guys, what was this about? Was this really about Cody finishing the story? Or was this about one thing, and only one thing, which still goes along with what I said? Now, I'm not going to lie. I was wrong about Cody. I thought that Cody would not win. And this would drag it out to make it more meaningful for money. Which, under normal circumstances, that would be one of the wiser things to do. If you want to drag out a story, you would do it like that. But this is practically the same thing. Look, guys. When you look at the ending of the show, it's not about Cody just winning. It's what they said that matters. Listen, if you watch it yourself, they're going to show a snippet of it. Listen to the way Cody talked about him, and he wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Bruce and the one who starts the new era. Remember, night 1 of WrestleMania, when Triple H was being interviewed, he didn't know what to call this new era. But why have an era? What is this about? One thing. The removal of Vince. And, more important, TKO Group's holdings, control of WWE. It isn't just about Vince being gone. It's about now TKO, who is still run by Ari Emanuel, the board of directors, the executive chairman, Rock, Nick Khan under him, and Triple H under him. We got Ari, we got the board of directors, we got The Rock, we got Nick Khan, and we got 100% Paul Levesque, who's basically running it on their behalf of him. This is about making WWE look different. This is about trying to increase dividends and stock. They threw literally everything they could think of at this match. It wasn't about making the other matches look even more enhanced. Let's make it clear. You could have just let Drew keep that damn title. No. They let Damian Priest... saying Priest. You know what? Knowing Damian Priest had to win that title, that's understandable. But you could have left it with Drew. That would have been a better story than Damian, even though Damian could eventually cash in eventually, before Money in the Bank. But clearly, they wanted Damian Priest there. They wanted that for a reason. Drew was not the most important person there. Neither was Seth. You know why? No story. Like I said in the beginning of this video, there was no story developed properly for Drew and Seth. So the best option was just to strip it off them both, take 6 minutes to get that title off of him and put it onto Damian Priest's waist. Because there was no point in keeping on them, because there's no use for them. When you see this entire situation, the majority of the matches there were good, yes. The street fight was okay. AJ and LA Knight was okay to good, easily. Everything else was good. But when you look at this situation, as far as I see it, I might not still be wrong. Because they really do believe that this new era, and I know that's what they're going to be, when you look at Just Alex and JD, they're going to be talking about this is the new era of Triple H, Paul Levesque. No, it's not. It's not the true era of Triple H. This is the new era of TKO Group Holdings. How far are they going to go to become more profitable? How far are they going to go? Look what's going on now. They're going to Europe. Vince never went to Europe much. They're doing Europe now. They're going to go to France soon for Backlash France. Why would you call it Backlash France? Why don't you just call it Backlash? Or Backlash Waterloo, if you're going to go that way. I actually been watching a little bit of history when it comes to Europe, and Waterloo seemed to be an extremely important time during the Napoleonic Wars. Haven't seen what was the entire story about Waterloo yet. But knowing that, you could have done that. But the point is, TKO is doing everything they can to promote WWE in a way that Vince would not go or could not go. So all that matters to them is this still money. And you're going to say, dude, of course, they're a business. Yes. First. A business first. Right now, we're still in the honeymoon phase of TKO within 1 year. Remember, they started in September. Where are we now? April. It's not a year yet. We have no idea how they're going to change from this moment on. When they pass a year, we have no idea what they're going to do. We don't. We don't know what's going to happen with Vince. We don't know what's going to happen with Bruce. We don't even know what's going to happen with Triple H. You think they'll keep Triple H? As much as you think they will never get rid of him, and as much as you think they'll keep him permanently, you never know. Even though we did see Stephanie at the very opening of the show, yes, that does not mean he'll stay. Nothing's set in stone. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to watch this with a lot of scrutiny. Even though I will tell you if the show is really good, or the pay-per-views or PLEs are great. This was a good pay-per-view, much better than Night 1, I will say that. But going forward, we don't know how far they're going to go with this. Not great writing, but it's about what will make the most money. Because we're talking about a businessman who's running it as a corporation. Not a businessman who's running a promotion. It's not a promotion anymore. It's like TNA. TNA is not a promotion. It's owned by a corporation. So it's a part of the corporation. And until they break away from the corporation, they're singular again, like TNA or WWE, they're going to do what the corporation says. If Ari wants less stories and more stuff that shows Prime or shows more advertisement, which we saw like a lot of it last night, and a little bit less this night, this is what you're going to have. but it's just me. I know I can be wrong. You can tell me I'm wrong, fine. And I will tell you what I still see. And you can tell me if I'm wrong or not. Peace.